See that black boy over there running scared. His old man in a bottle. He done quit his 9 to 5. He drink full time and now he's living in a bottle. See that black boy over there running scared. His old man got a problem, and it's a bad one. He done pawned off damn near everything. His old woman a wedding ring for bottom. And don't you think it's a crime when time after time after time people in the bottom?
Yes, indeed. It is a crime when people are in the bottle. Lil Gil Scott Heron. So I like to kick off the show, get the blood going, get the brain cells going, because we're going to have a rip roaring good show today. We're going to have a guest from RNC. I think the deputy press secretary, Michael Joyce, is going to join us at some point. So we'll keep an eye on that. But hey, hope you're enjoying us out there on Facebook. You can go to Facebook, Charles Butler Conservative. I'm right there broadcasting at the Reality Check with Charles Butler. We often talk about issues that are near and dear to a lot of folks' hearts. But yesterday, I got the biggest kick out of Nancy Pelosi and Nancy Pelosi's what's his name, Schumer. I got the biggest kick out of those guys, Nancy and Schumer and Steny Hoyer, talking about how Donald Trump lost his cool. Donald Trump had a meltdown. If anyone had a meltdown, I think it was probably Pelosi. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little clip of Nancy talking about how Donald melted down, how the president melted down. No, the president said, you're a third-rate politician. You're a hack. Do something besides talk about impeachment. You let your junior, your freshman congressman run all over you because you don't have the will to stand up to these people. You don't have the guts, the chutzpah. How you think you're going to stand up to me? I'm the president of the United States. When you can't stand up to what are they called? OAC +3. I mean, man, we have some names for folks in politics, don't we? OAC +3. It's amazing. Pelosi and the meltdown. I looked at that and I laughed. I laughed every time I look at that video of Nancy trying to explain the meltdown. And she's standing up, pointing her finger in this video. And his problem is with powerful women. No, his problem is with people who lie and people who accuse him. It's like she baited him once before. I remember they were sitting in a conference, and it was Schumer, the president, and Nancy Pelosi on his right side. And she said something that was so derogatory to the president, and he called her out on it, right in the middle of the press conference. He called her out. What did you say, Nancy? Did you say blah? She's used to saying anything she wants to these Democrat wimps, but she can't do that to Trump. Trump doesn't play it, okay? Kind of reminds me of Charles Butler. I don't play that. I don't believe in giving women the right to say anything and everything and get away. And it's supposed to be smart and sexy. No. Talking about we witnessed the meltdown. There were other people who were there saying, no, there wasn't a meltdown. It was more like a beatdown. The president said, oh, no. No. You can't have these closing. Well, Mr. President, did you withhold aid from, Mr. President, you withheld aid from the Ukraine. they try to do these closed in questions on you, and you're not supposed to respond. I had that happen to me in court, actually, with a female judge who asked these closed in questions as if I was going to take the bait. And I was like, no, sorry, sister, not taking the bait on this one. Okay. And then they get angry when you don't take the bait. It's the most amazing thing. They get angry because you didn't take the bait that they set out. Oh, well, you were just supposed to, answer my question without really thinking about it. No, I'm going to think about it, going to tell you about it, not going to respond the way you want me to respond. And then we'll go from there. But, judge who was supposed to be a impartial judge. Judge is supposed to be impartial, non-biased. The chick said to me, well, Mr. Butler, I think you're being very disingenuous. After I said she didn't ask if these people had served me. They hadn't served me. And they can't prove that they had served me to appear in court. But she didn't give a shit. She didn't care because I was a black male, and she was going to show me that she didn't really care that I wasn't served, and the fact that these white people had brought this lawsuit against me, then I must be in the wrong. Hard. Because, again, I don't play that, she's a woman and, we need to, try to, I don't play that. If you're not Maggie Thatcher material, if you're not Andrea Merkel material, then why should I have to deal with you? Hello. Women politics want to play this game of, I'm a woman, I'm a woman. Well, when you rise to the statue of a Andrea Merkel or a Maggie Thatcher or Golda Meir, and I don't see any women politicians in America of that stature, then I'll give you your just due. Until then, I'm done. But let's see what some of the pundits have to say about the meltdown yesterday, the supposed meltdown. I'm going to play a couple of clips for you, let you be the judge, and I'll make my comments as we kind of...
My money should work as hard as I do. That's why I use my Freedom Unlimited card to buy heavier weights online. Got it. Go time. With Freedom Unlimited, you're always earning. I should purchase lighter weights.
Kevin Hart.
This indeed was day one.
Hold on. Here we go.
Trump administration. And tonight, by all accounts.
I hate when this happens.
An increasingly isolated president facing fury.
Yeah, he's not facing any more fury than anyone else. But it's how the Donald is too smart. The Donald is too savvy. He's a business guy. He's not intimidated. But look, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back, okay?
Hey, this is Leonora Cravota from Red State Talk Radio for My Pillow. I used to have trouble sleeping. My Pillow changed all that. I now fall asleep within moments of my head touching my pillow. That's how comfortable My Pillow is with its patented interlocking fill. My Pillow stays has a 10-year warranty and a 60-day comfort guarantee. My Pillow is also the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation, and it's made right here in the USA. My Pillow is now offering Red State Talk Radio listeners a 4-pack special with 2 premium standard or queen pillows and 2 go anywhere pillows. That's 4 pillows for the price of 1. To take advantage of this special offer, call 1-800-961-9194 and ask for promo code Red State. That's 1-800-961-9194. Promo code Red State. Put sleepless nights behind you with My Pillow, the most comfortable pillow you will ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Da-da. mypillow.com. And so we're back and want to I want to get that clip from Nancy Pelosi. I just cannot pull that baby up. I don't know why. But Nancy had a serious meltdown. And she said the president had a meltdown. No, I think, Madam Speaker, you had the meltdown because you couldn't get under Trump's skin. Because Trump views you as inconsequential. See, it's different when you come into this game and you're the guy who's used to writing checks and telling politicians what to do, because they're basically, let me take a nice approach to this, prostitutes. They prostitute themselves for campaign contributions. I'm going to talk at some point about Elijah Cummings, because I had some personal dealings with Elijah years ago when we were doing the HBCU task force with J.C. Watts. And none of these so-called black politicians, these black congressmen and women, were interested, because they're not interested in doing anything except being Democrats and doing what the Democrat Party tell them they need to do. They don't have a brain or a clue in their damn heads. They're totally brainwashed. Totally. And they want everyone else to be too. And that's why they say things like, well, if you're not thinking with us, then you're, wow. I'm looking at a news flash of a young woman who was involved in a Texas sex trafficking issue, and she committed suicide. She was abducted last year, and she locked herself in her family's bathroom yesterday, and she took her life. Man. See, that's the impact
that feeling when you're Halloweening because you knew what.
That's the impact that these people have on lives that no one really wants to talk about, whether it's sex trafficking, whether it's the LGBT community. It's okay if what's wrong with the man having sex with a boy? It's okay if I remember this boy hit on my brother, and my brother's about 3 years younger than me. I had to come to his defense. And I was, and this boy was older than me. He was at the YMCA, a little gay dude, a little homosexual. I don't like using the term gay. I don't have any sympathy, any empathy for that community, because they cause people great pain and great guilt. Let's be clear. Let's talk about the other side of that whole issue, but people don't want to go there. But this young lady, again, was abducted from her middle school when she was 13. She was a good student, had good grades, but she was quiet, kind of a loner, and her brother had just passed. Had just died, I guess. And she was a perfect target for them, says her godmother. And following her rescue, they said she appeared broken and addicted, because that's what they do. They addict these girls to drugs. And she said it was the road to recovery was one of the hardest things for a child to overcome. And Letty's father, that was her name, Letty, she told the local TV station that he believed his daughter couldn't get away from the man who took her. She ran away from home twice to be with the man who'd been arrested and released days earlier. See, this criminal justice system is totally unjust. This man kidnapped this young girl, turn her out. When we say turn her out, sexually, abused her, and she thought it was love, and, on and on and on and on. It's a very familiar a story, unfortunately, says the executive director of the Elijah Rising, a nonprofit organization in Houston dedicated to ending sex trafficking through prayer, awareness, and intervention. Man, Mr. Gambo, who's the executive director of Elijah Rising, says there are thousands of victims in the Houston area alone, over 300,000 in Texas. Wow. He's urging the city council to tear down abandoned drug houses where Letty was found. And following her death, Houston Police Department uh, has called her case to be reopened, and they're going to arrest this dude. And I hope they shoot him dead. He doesn't need to be arrested. He doesn't need to go to trial. He doesn't need to live, as far as I'm concerned. He took this little girl's life, messed up her whole life, messed up her whole entire life. Amazing. And people like to say, oh, it's no big deal. It's just sex. It's just sex. That's what you hear people say. Oh, it's just sex. Leaves a lot of hurt, pain, guilt, unfortunately. But I just thought I would talk about that for a minute because it bothers me. It really does. It gets to me, those kind of stories. And it takes a lot to get next to me, but that's one of those things that just gets me where it hurts. Okay, so we'll go to Elijah Cummings. Elijah Cummings. The first time I met Elijah Cummings, it must have been around 1998. And I'm surprised. And I was surprised then that he and I are so close in age. He looks like an old man. He walked like an old man. He carried himself like an old man. But he was only 68. I'm 67. I'm, bouncing around and jumping around and dipping and dapping and
the Hyundai Elantra
things like that, playing squash.
Can read your text out loud, keeping your eyes.
This commercial wants to break in, but I'm not going to do it. But Elijah, he was the most powerful House Democrat who represented Baltimore for more than 2 decades. In fact, his predecessor, a guy named Perrin Mitchell. There's Perrin Mitchell, and then there was the guy who took over NAACP, Kwame Mfume. They became very influential members of Congress out of Baltimore. But the former, Perrin Mitchell, was a real player. Elijah Cummings did nothing but be black. Let's be clear. For 2 decades, he was black. He was a vocal critic of Donald Trump, but who cares? Everybody's a vocal critic of Donald Trump. What did he do for his district? His district is a damn war zone. His district is just like not Tehran, but Fallujah, Amujad. That's what his district is like. It's a war zone. And yes, he could defend his district. He could come to the defense of his district and speak up for his. It doesn't take away from the fact that people are being killed there every day. There are drugs. The kids are stupid. The kids are not getting an education. We're going to talk about education here in a minute. Here in Chicago, teachers are on strike. Teachers are on strike for more money, if you can believe that, so that they can babysit. They can become higher priced babysitters. Anyway, so tributes are pouring in, of course, from all the lawmakers and from both sides of the aisle, of course, and people are being, cordial and nice. Sorry about those noises. Yeah. Elijah Cummings. My first meeting with Elijah Cummings, he was the chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus. And I wanted to talk to him about working with us, J.C. Watts, myself, and others who brought 120 black congressmen 120 black HBCU, historically black colleges and university presidents to Washington, D.C. to talk about aid, to talk about grants, to talk about grants that would give them substantial funding like these other schools like Yale and Harvard and the other schools that President Clinton was taking money away from HBCUs to give to Harvard and Yale, okay? And schools like that. Okay, so fast forward. Elijah and I are talking with his chief of staff, and it's obvious that he doesn't have a clue as to what's going on with HBCUs, and he doesn't want to have a clue. He doesn't want to do anything for HBCUs. And he certainly doesn't want them to be independent and to compete for contracts. Because these are big, we're talking about big multi-million-dollar contracts. Now, the guy who was trying to help us was the guy from MCI. I almost called his name, but they put him in jail. They put him in prison. He was from MCI. He was the chairman of MCI, started MCI, which was a telecommunications company back in the day. And but he was serious about HBCUs and getting HBCUs up to speed and providing backbone so these HBCUs could grow. President Trump, and this is the other thing. You have all these black legislators who come on radio today, and I hope that the president has the decency to shut the hell up. This man issues a statement from the White House. And then this is the statement from the White House, and I'll tell you what some people said on radio, TV. First of all, the flag was lowered to half staff at the White House, half mast. President tweeted out, "My warmest condolences to the family and many friends of Congressman Elijah Cummings. I got to see firsthand the strength, passion, and wisdom of this highly respected political leader. His work and voice on so many fronts will be very hard, if not impossible, to replace." That's what White House statement White House issued. There were people who came on the radio, and one of the guys was, I can't call his name right now, black guy. He's like, "Well, I hope the president has the decency to express condolences, but I doubt if he does." Such wimp, pathetic, girly men dudes. I can't tell you how I dislike these dudes. Now, his wife, Maya Rockamore Cummings, she's a doctor. In a brief statement, they said that she said that he worked until his last breath because he believed our democracy was the highest and best expression of our collective humanity. Wow. And Cummings' office issued a brief statement that said he died due to complications concerning long-standing health challenges. Wow. In fact, he used a motorized car and a walker to get around. So why didn't he just resign and live out the rest of his days with his lovely wife? Well, that's a question you'll have to ask him. Let's see here. Okay. So they said that Cummings did not return to work after an undisclosed medical procedure. He'd said it would only keep him away from the office for about a week. He had heart surgery in 2017 and had a bacterial infection in his knee. He was known to drive himself back and forth from Baltimore to Washington, sometimes multiple times a day, to make committee meetings, floor votes, and to attend issues in his district. Well, he had that opportunity to do that. Most people did not and do not. But since he was so close in Baltimore, he could do that. But he headed up the House Oversight Committee, and he did a pretty decent job. But he wasn't a real leader, if you ask me. I just don't see he or any other congressional Black Caucus member doing anything of any substance in terms of legislation. Certainly in terms of civil rights, they've allowed the lesbian, homosexual, transgender community to co-opt civil rights, and knowing damn well these people have no issues that aren't of their own doing and their own choice and their own making. I don't care how you choose to have sex. It's not my business. Don't put it in my face. I'm not going to put how I have sex or like to have sex in your face. Even though I have trampolines and trapezes in my bedroom. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But Elijah, rest in peace. And, he did, I guess, the best he could with what he had. But as far as I'm concerned, none of these people, these Black people in Congress today measure up to a Adam Clayton Powell, Shirley Chisholm, Barbara Jordan, J.C. Watts. None of them. None of them. That's just a fact. Mickey Leland, Ron Dellums, none of them. These people measure up to those guys. None of them. They did their job. People took them serious. Today, we know these Black congressmen and women are jokes. And all of these congressmen, these Black congressmen, are preachers, Negro preachers. Amazing. Why don't white clergymen become politicians? Because they're men of the cloth. Da-da! But I got to do some homework on that. I got to do a little homework, get that straight, figure that out. Anyway, Cummings is going to get all of the accolades that's due him, and and we'll move on because that's what we do here in America. That's what we do. Well, look, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back and pick up where we left off. Okay. Don't.
Kim Moline, co-owner of the Wingstop restaurants in Lansing and South Holland.
Hey, Tom, I've got to be honest. Although I was unhappy with our old payroll company, I was pretty apprehensive about transitioning into a new one. When it comes to payroll, delays and loss that are really unacceptable. But I'm happy to say your staff really made it easy for us, and the transition couldn't have been smoother. And now, as we consider taking advantage of some of the other services you offer, well, let's just say that next time we won't be so chicken.
Thanks, Kim. Just call me at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507. Or check us out at the web at precisionpayroll.com. That's precisionpayroll.com.
Hey, this is Leonora Cravota from Red State Talk Radio for My Pillow. I used to have trouble sleeping. My Pillow changed all that. I now fall asleep within moments of my head touching my pillow. That's how comfortable My Pillow is with its patented interlocking fill. My Pillow stays cool and does not go flat. Plus, it's machine washable and dryable. My Pillow has a 10-year warranty and a 60-day comfort guarantee. My Pillow is also the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation, and it's made right here in the USA. My Pillow is now offering Red State Talk Radio listeners a 4-pack special with 2 premium standard or queen pillows and 2 go anywhere pillows. That's 4 pillows for the price of 1. To take advantage of this special offer, call 1-800-961-9194 and ask for promo code Red State. That's 1-800-961-9194, promo code Red State. Put sleepless nights behind you with My Pillow, the most comfortable pillow you will ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Red State Talk Radio is now available as a voice command on your Amazon Echo and Echo Dot by simply saying, Alexa, play Red State Talk Radio.
Red State Talk Radio on TuneIn.
Concern to every single American. Now, we've been hearing all these stories about sanctuary cities that
You can now find us on the Amazon Echo and Echo Dot, on TuneIn, on iHeartRadio, and we also have the phone apps in the App Store for your particular phone. And just in case we activated your Echo Dot, Alexa, stop.
Well, Well, that is the Echo 1. Let's bring on Mr. Michael. Okay, hold on. Michael Joyce. He's the deputy press secretary of the Republican National Committee. Welcome to the show, Michael. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. So,
that feeling when you're winning.
What are we going to talk
you
about
are the
today?
Mother of Dragon.
What are we going to talk about today? Hello?
Well, hey, yeah. Well, I think there is a quite the rally going on down in Dallas tonight, and there was a pretty big ceasefire that just happened. The vice president just announced.
Yeah, he did. In fact, you know how these things work. I knew when he was going over there that the deal had already been done because he wasn't flying over there to have egg on his face.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and it's a testament to the work of the vice president, Secretary Pompeo, and the entire team in the administration to make sure that we got this done, and hopefully, something good comes out of this, and we continue the ceasefire when the 120 hours are up. That's of course under the circumstances that conditions are met, and I think they will be. So this is pretty historic and another win for President Trump and the administration.
Well, I had said last week when the president announced he was pulling the troops out of that area, that region. I had said time and time again, I broke it down for my audience, that these people have been warring for centuries. Nothing's going to change. It's like Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a country full of tribes. We tend to look at the rest of the world through a U.S. perspective. So, if the United States were Afghanistan, all the people in Illinois would hate all the people in Michigan or Wisconsin or surrounding states, and we'd constantly be at war, be at each other's throat. Well, we're kind of at war economically, but nobody's firing bullets and dropping bombs and things like that. But these people have been at war because they're warring tribes. They're born to hate each other. And they've been fighting for a very long time. And I think that America needs to be out of that region and needs to be out of those wars and stop policing. I've said that for the last 10 years because that's what I truly believe. And the president's done that. And he's right in doing that. And the 360 some odd Republicans and Democrats who voted against him pulling out, I think they're wrong because they don't, either they're wrong or they're voting their campaign contributions. I don't know which because I haven't done the homework, but I know this. As an American, I can say that we should not be policing on the world stage. We should fight real wars using our military. And the UN should conduct policing actions.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, to speak to your analogy about folks from Illinois and Michigan getting into a spat, I think the closest thing you have is a bunch of Bears fans in Chicago when the Green Bay Packers come to town. But, again, you touched on another good point there. I think people don't realize the complexity of the region. You have Sunni Muslims, you have Shiite Muslims, and the Kurds. Of course, under the Saddam Hussein administration out in Iraq, if you want to call it administration, I think we all call it a dictatorship. But he was actually able to keep coalitions in check and things like that. And then, of course, we all saw with the Iraq war, with regime change, what happened afterwards. And then, after Barack Obama began pulling troops out of the region, of course, we saw the creation of ISIS, Daesh, whatever you'd like to call it. And so, yeah, there's a lot of complexities going on there. But I think the administration was absolutely correct in not getting our hands into another potential regime change war and muddying the waters further. So I think, again, to your point, I think you're correct that we shouldn't be going out trying to do either a preemptive war or more regime change. I think the American people are sick and tired of those things, and they're ready, to your point again, if we're going to go to war, it's for something because someone is directly impacting us. So, yeah, I think it's one of those things where, a lot of people don't see the complexities. To your point, again, they see things through only our eyes and not what's happening over there. So I think we can all celebrate when there's less war happening in the world. And again, I think this is another win, not just for the administration, but the American people and the Kurds out in Turkey and Iraq and Syria.
Yeah, exactly. And, when the president pointed out yesterday, he said, not all the Kurds are angels. I started cracking up because he's absolutely right. I mean, we have some bad actors on both sides. But Americans, and the other thing is when those congressmen and senators start having their young daughters and sons go into combat and go into these wars that have lasted 19 years. I know people who went in the military at 23 or 21 years old. They're 45 now. They've been fighting wars their whole time in service. They've been at war. Could you imagine if we fought? I did an analogy yesterday. If we'd been in a war in World War II this long, we declared war on the Japanese and the Germans December 8th of 1941, right? And so that if that was 19 years, we would have gone through 4 years of Roosevelt, then Truman, then eight years of Eisenhower, and then Kennedy comes in 60. So we would have been at war the whole time from FDR in 41 to John Kennedy being elected in 60. That's a long time to be at war. Has anybody ever mentioned that to you?
Yeah, well, 2 points I wanted to make to your comments there. First of all, our military had been depleted under the Obama administration. They significantly cut funding to defense throughout the entire Obama administration.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily, President Trump, in a few short years here, has been able to help rebuild the military, completely fund the military, and get them back to a point where they're battle ready again.
Right.
And, we're seeing that happen now. The other part, too, again, going kind of just back to that region, I think a lot of folks forget that when the Trump administration wiped out ISIS, we had folks fighting alongside us overseas over there who were fighting against us not that long ago in unison because of their hatred for Bashar al-Assad. So, again, the complexities and the coalitions that are formed out there, they're incredibly shaky. They're incredibly complex. And people, I think, struggle to see those complexities. And it's hard to when in the mainstream media, it's very one-sided in their approach to what's happening in Syria right now. And, of course, they're just looking to, again, continue their negative coverage of President Trump and everything he does and try to put bad spin on it and make it sound like something bad is happening. But, it's a weird day when you have Democrats angry about the fact that there was a ceasefire enacted.
Yeah, exactly. Oops, he's done it again. Well, yesterday I cracked up. I was laughing so hard when Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Steny Hoyer came to the mics, and they were talking about the president melting down and how he called Nancy Pelosi a third-rate hack politician. I laughed so hard. I'm like, he did it for a reason, I'm sure. And so then Andy McCarthy comes on and explains why the exchange was so terse. And I'm like, get her, Donald. Don't let her run over you, dude. Because they ask these close-ended questions, as you well know, being at the RNC. They ask us, Republicans, always these close-ended questions like, well, the president withheld aid from the Ukraine, and therefore that's was quid pro quo, isn't it? Well, no, because he didn't withhold aid from the Ukraine. Sorry. But we never get to say, because you get roped into answering a question that's already been set up to put you in a hole to begin with, acknowledging that something transpired that didn't transpire. So, and I'm sure that you train your guys and girls, your ladies and young men to respond to these questions that way in this questioning. But, so what was your take of the three amigos coming to the mic yesterday?
Yeah, well, it was absolutely comical because, how many times have the Democrats relied on hearsay, secondhand information to continue their political vendetta against President Trump. We saw it with the FISA warrant abuse when you had folks like Lisa Page and Peter Strzok who had a very clear bias against the president. Moving forward to launch a baseless fishing expedition into the president with the Mueller report. And then we have the exact same thing with this Ukrainian phone call. I think people don't give the president enough credit for taking the unprecedented step of releasing a classified transcript of his conversation with the president of a foreign country, which, you know, the Democrats, they love to say the Republicans could care less about national security. Well, you forced the administration to release a private classified transcript that had national security implications within it, simply to score petty political points. And again, to your point about the president calling Nancy Pelosi a third-rate politician, I don't think that goes far enough. I think she's more of a banana republic politician, because if you look at the corruption of the left, if you look at what happened in the Ukraine in 2016, and if you look at the transcript between President Trump and the president of Ukraine, he mentioned CrowdStrike in there and what was going on in 2016. So it's comical for the Democrats time and time again to accuse this president of running a dictatorship and everything else, while Nancy Pelosi has turned the House of Representatives into the House of Investigations. It's hilarious to me when you hear these Democrats coming out and telling people at press conferences that they can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. If that were the case, then why haven't we passed the USMCA trade deal?
Right.
Nancy Pelosi refuses to bring it to the floor for a vote because she doesn't want to give the president another win. And you know who suffers because they won't do that? It's the American people.
And the farmers
in Illinois.
And the
ranchers,
farmers. Yeah.
Manufacturers in Illinois.
Yeah.
They just get left behind because Nancy Pelosi only cares about attacking President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we all see here is that they're going to continue this baseless impeachment inquiry all up until November of 2020 because they don't accept the results of the special counsel, because they don't accept the results of the 2016 election. And the only thing Democrats are going to do between now and Election Day are try to undo the results of the 2016 election, no differently than they've been doing since President Trump stepped into the White House in January of 2017. So, yeah, it's comical listening to Pelosi, but yeah, I couldn't help but chuckle myself when I saw the president release those photos showing that they walked out of the meeting and staged the entire thing. I mean, how many times are we going to have these made for TV moments where the press just jumps on it and goes to the defense immediately of Nancy Pelosi? But then, you know, I think President Trump once again was vindicated yesterday when he released those photos.
Oh, yeah, that was classic. But this is the deal. This is the blowback. So a good friend of mine, Sophia Nelson, Black woman who's a Republican, who's denounced the Republican Party because of Trump. And I said, you know, I always tell her she's way off base because, you know, I refute people all the time who call the president a racist. You know, I've supported the president from June of 2015 and I told Donald Jr. personally that I wanted to work for the campaign, but it got lost because Sam Nunberg, who was my contact, got fired by Trump for some things he had done. But so I never really got back in. But the reality here is you know, when you look at what so Sophia Nelson writes this tweet that it has over 1,000 comments, and she says every professional woman has been in this position and has wanted to do what Nancy Pelosi does. She's in a room full of high-powered white men, and she's the only female. So I wrote back and I said, one, you're using Miss Andre, the hatred of men, and you're calling people, and I think your statement is very racist because you call out white men being in this room. I think that you know, that these people, they call people names without any substance, without any validation, without anything other than the fact that, oh, you're white, you're powerful, so you must be a racist. And I think that's unfair. I think it's certainly untrue in the case of many of these men that are serving the country. And they're qualified. That's the difference. They're qualified. And I talk about that all the time. I don't care what your gender is. I don't care what your race is. If you're qualified to do a job, then you're qualified to do it. If you're not, then you're not. And it's just that simple with me. So Nancy Pelosi standing there pointing her finger at the president. I love the fact that he came back at her and said, you're a third-rate hack politician, Nancy. I love it.
Yeah, well, Well, to some points about your friend there, I think people don't sometimes recognize the accomplishments that President Trump has made within the Black community. First of all, record low unemployment for the Black community. We've hit an all-time low. You look at the bipartisan criminal justice reform bill, giving thousands of inmates around the country a second chance in life. You look at everything that the president has done with creating opportunity zones through the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. This president's gotten a lot of things done for the Black community that, frankly, Democrats haven't been able to do whatsoever. And, on the other side of things, if you look at the Democrat Party, I can't help but notice the remarks from Bob Johnson, the founder of BET. He's a well-known centrist Democrat. And he said, you know what, where the Democrat Party has gone, they've gone so far to the left. I just can't get behind this anymore. It's too radical for me. I don't want socialism in this country. Capitalism has been great for this country. It's been great for myself, and I just can't do it anymore. So, what we hear a lot on the ground all over the country, including Illinois, we actually just had what we call Stop the Madness anti-impeachment rallies in Woodstock, Illinois, and out in Rock Island by the Quad Cities.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're seeing from folks time and time again is they're sick and tired of what the Democrats are proposing with their socialist policies. They're sick and tired of them focusing on impeachment, and they want them to get back to work for the American people. There's a lot of problems that this country has that we need to get resolved immediately, and the Democrats don't want to do any of it. So talking about things like tackling the opioid crisis, fixing infrastructure. I know the toll roads and everything else in Illinois could use a boost because frankly, the Illinois Democrats haven't done a whole lot to boost infrastructure within the state. Again, the USMCA trade deal. These are things that matter to people and impact us on a daily basis. So it's disgusting to me to watch Democrats continue to move forward with this, to call Republicans racist time and time again. There was a member, Dan Crenshaw, he's a Texas Republican member of Congress. He just got called racist the other day, and I liked his reply on Twitter. He said, every time Democrats don't have a good counter argument to our policy proposals, they immediately call us racist, and you hear it with every policy, whether it's President Trump's wall. They love to call it President Trump's racist wall. President Trump is a racist, everything else. And it's just absolutely appalling and shameful of the Democrats that their only option to talk about policy is to call Republicans racist for everything. I think they do it because they realize that they can't beat President Trump on policy. And they also know that they can't beat him at the polls in 2020, which is why they're trying to steal the election away from the American people and try to impeach a sitting president who was duly and legally elected in 2016 simply because they don't like the guy. And it's not fair to the American people. If you look at what Jerry Nadler said back in the 90s when the Bill Clinton impeachment inquiry was happening, they said the exact same thing that we're saying now, which is you're trying to sway the election. You want to steal it away from the American people. But once again, the Democrats are hypocritical on this issue and now throwing all of that out the window because they simply have even said they know that they can't beat this president at the ballot box in 2020, which is why they're going to move forward with this baseless impeachment inquiry.
Well, that's okay. They can move forward with it. I was sharing with my audience that a couple of days ago, I was in the lobby of the Grand Hyatt Hotel, and which is near my studio. And I was having a discussion with the Black lady at the at a counter at who works at the hotel, and we talked about renting. We talked a little business, then we talked about Power, the TV show, and then we talked about she wanted to talk about Donald Trump, the orange-haired guy, and so I let her finish, and then I did my diatribe on Donald. People were clapping. One lady came up, grabbed my lapels and said, thank you so much. You're so right. And she wanted to kiss me. I could tell, but I didn't kiss her because, in this era of Me Too, that could lead to a lot of problems.
Well, we'll leave the kissing and the sniffing of hair to Joe Biden
no question.
Before his campaign
No question.
On space, which, at this point, if he even makes it to New Year's Eve, I think that alone would be an accomplishment for Biden. But, he's going to have a lot of trouble getting through the first couple states in Iowa and New Hampshire if he even makes it that far. But, again, to your point, obviously a lot of people are paying attention to the political process now with President Trump in office. And, what we hear on the ground all over the country, including a state like Illinois, is that maybe people don't like every single thing the president says or does or tweets, but it's hard to argue against this economy at the end of the day. Every economic indicator says this economy is still booming. And we certainly know that we don't want millions of Americans across the country to be stripped of their private health insurance and move into a government takeover of our healthcare system, which would crush the quality of care for Americans all over this country and raise taxes on the middle class, something Elizabeth Warren lied about on the Democratic debate stage on Tuesday. She said that her plan would not raise taxes on the middle class, but even Bernie Sanders, who wrote the bill, admits that taxes will go up on the middle class. So
No question.
It's another hypocrisy issue that Democrats are having right now.
Well, Michael, I want to tell you, I really enjoyed you being with me today. It's getting near the end of the show. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with our audience what's going on there in Washington and around the country. And if there's anything that we can do here, we want to do a meeting on the west side of Chicago. So maybe that's something we can talk about offline. I'll call you at the RNC, give you my information. But we want to do a big rally for the president on the west side of Chicago in the Austin area, Austin neighborhood.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, thanks for having me. I'd love to encourage your listeners. If you're upset about this impeachment inquiry, go to stopthemadness.gop. We'd love to get you involved in our operation as well as the president's reelection campaign. Thank you for all you guys do, and we'll be looking out for that call.
Okay. Thank you. Take care, Michael. Mr. Michael Joyce, folks, the Deputy Press Secretary for the RNC. So look, we're going to sign off at Red State, and we're going to stick around out at YouTube and Facebook. But going to talk a little bit about the Chicago teachers strike that's started, okay? Okay.
Hey, this is Leonora Cravota from Red State Talk Radio for My Pillow. I used to have trouble sleeping. My Pillow changed all that. I now fall asleep within moments of my head touching my pillow. That's how comfortable My Pillow is with its patented interlocking fill. My Pillow stays cool and does not go flat. Plus, it's machine washable and dryable. My Pillow has a 10-year warranty.
Okay, folks. Actually, we had 30 seconds left, and I read the clock wrong. Sorry about that. But look, so tomorrow is Freedom Friday. Don't forget to call in 215-867-8255, 215-867-8255. That's 215-TOP-TALK for those of you who like numbers better or words better than the numbers. 215-TOP-TALK. Anyway, we will be back tomorrow, same time, same place, but we're going to stick around. We're going to do the teacher strike after this short break. Okay.
Kim Moline, co-owner of the Wingstop restaurants in Lansing and South Holland.
Hey, Tom, I've got to be honest. Although I was unhappy with our old payroll company, I was pretty apprehensive about transitioning into a new one. When it comes to payroll, delays and lost data are really unacceptable. But I'm happy to say your staff really made it easy for us, and the transition couldn't have been smoother. And now, as we consider taking advantage of some of the other services you offer, well, let's just say that next time we won't be so chicken.
Thanks, Kim. Just call me at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507. Or check us out at the web at precisionpayroll.com. That's precisionpayroll.com.
Okay, here we go. We're back. So let's see. The Chicago teachers. Well, Chicago teachers went on strike. And they had their signs and T-shirts all made up. So we knew they were going on strike. It was just a matter of time. But the sticky points are that these folks really think that they deserve this money. They deserve a better contract. I don't think they do. Classes have been canceled. So you have about 300,000 kids out of school. You have about 32,000 teachers out of school, about 7,000 support people that are out of work. So we have all these picket lines that are out, and it's kind of interesting. But I can tell you that it's the president of the union. His name is Jesse Sharkey. Jesse Sharkey. He says that the school support staff deserve to have pay and benefits that give us dignity and respect. And I don't think we're there yet, but the teachers certainly are. The support team may not be, but the teachers certainly are. And they go on even before the formal decision to strike, the union's overtures toward a walkout prompted the mayor, Lori Lightfoot, and the Chicago schools Chief Janice Jackson to preemptively cancel Thursday classes. Though hundreds of schools in the district will remain open for the children who need a safe place to go. Isn't that pathetic? That the children have to go to school to feel safe, that the children have to go to school to eat. How crazy is that? But that's what they do. She said, Lightfoot says, we'll remain at the table. And we hope that the CTU, Chicago Teachers Union, will as well, and hope this work stoppage will end soon. But the union has stressed that in addition to compensation and benefits, it thinks it's fair. It wants to use its contract as a mechanism to improve conditions for teachers, students, and their families. Wow. It's amazing what schools have to do today and school systems have to do today. Are we the end all and be all of everything? We feed the children. They're saying on the radios that the schools are open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for students. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So where are the parents? Where are the parents who had these kids? Why aren't they being parents? See, we in the Black community, we have some cultural issues that need to be addressed, and they need to be addressed now, not later, now. Anyway, I'm just saying, and you are too, I'm sure. It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, look, we're going to sign off and keep you abreast of the happenings at the school district and what's going on there. And it's crazy. But we'll work through it. We always do. They always do. They know what people already know what they're going to do. I just hope that these people don't get this money. I think they're paid enough. Highest paid teachers in the country, some of the lowest test scores. They're just high paid babysitters. So anyway, with that said, we're not going to mess around. We're going to sign off and we'll be back tomorrow. Okay.
You see that black boy over there running scared. His old man in a bottle.